Hi, I'm Eddie Obeng, and this is How. Every day I bring you a different way to transform your world. Today, I'm going to try and help you solve impossible issues and escape from the horns of a dilemma. It's called HardPlaceRock. It's a way of getting out of things which look like conflicts. Let's jump onto Cube and let's have a look at what's there. So welcome to Cube, where the sun is always shining. This is the Agile Cubicle. You can see lots of things here. I've actually zoomed right the way out, so we're looking at it from above. But if we jump all the way down to the home spot, you'll spot that there's a great big screen which isn't showing anything. But far more importantly, there are things like posters, which are very important when you're doing Agile. And the posters say things like, what's a Kanban, and things like that. But more importantly, the way the cubicle is laid out is it's laid out so that you can actually run your Agile program from here. So generally what people are trying to do with an Agile program is they're following the manifesto. So manifesto, you probably know about that. There's probably something about vision. You can see something about vision here. So what are the product goals? Who's the target customer? What's the needs? And then normally they'll work onto something called the strategy. There's a business case. Here we've got things like what you should expect from your Scrum Master and so on. There's probably a roadmap and so on to go with the strategy. And then often there's also a sort of backlog of things which haven't been done. And here what we've done is we've used things like commenters, these funny ones with the color at the top and the color at the bottom, so people can put comments in. So this is the cubicle. It's got everything you need, from ideas to team to retrospectacles, and it's got breakout areas for different teams. But for this one in particular, there you can do your daily stand-up. Everyone does a daily stand-up. There you go. What I did yesterday, what I'll do today, blockers, and so on and so forth. But we're not going to focus on that today. Where we're going to go instead is we're going to work on this lovely little board over here, where I set up for you to understand HardPlaceRock. What's HardPlaceRock? HardPlaceRock is a way of getting out of dilemmas where your brain's about to explain. I once met a chap called Ellie Goldratt who said he could solve migraines because his theory was that migraines are created when your brain creates two conflicting ideas which can't be resolved. It's basically what's known as the horns of a dilemma. I hate change and I hate the way things are at the moment. And this one I think is true because I remember my stepmom had a migraine all the time. One of the kids she was worried about was going through difficult marital difficulties. And once it got resolved, and once she managed to work out how to get past it, the migraine went away. So the migraine and the stress were being created by a set of issues which couldn't be resolved. The most popular of these is something called work-life balance. You'd have come across this. Basically, this provided food and sustenance for tens of thousands of coaches for about 15 years. This concept of a work-life balance. You can have work or you can have life. The two are out of contract or out of balance. The favorite quote I have is one from a chap called Jack Welch, who used to run one of the world's biggest companies. And he said, there's no such thing as work-life balance. There are work and life choices, and you make them, and they have consequences. And I tend to agree with them. And if you've got a copy of All Change, you'd have come across HardPlaceRock. Let's see how it works. So here I have an example for you. What example should I use? I'll use this one here. The work-life balance one. Hello, I want to have a happy home. Everyone probably has this. So on the one hand, I need to keep my spouse happy, which means I must spend more time at home. You're never here, I have to do all the work, etc. On the other hand, if I want to have a happy home, then one thing I must do is I should also make more money, which means I must spend more time at work. So do you see the conflict? Spend time at home, spend time at work. So I take work home in the evenings, and I've been taking my spouse to, no, that's silly. I've not been taking my spouse to work, but you could take your spouse to work. So most people try and resolve this particular conflict over here. You can see if you have a common goal, it's possible for you to have two conflicting things which don't match up. But is it real? And the answer is no, it's just an idea, because these arrows which we put here may be real causality arrows, or they may just be bad assumptions you've made. Let's try and see. Let's say, for example, you're saying to keep my spouse happy, I must spend time at home. Well, how about if when you went home, you were just more fun? On the way into the house, you smiled, you got some energy, and you were really the life and soul of the party. So even though you'd only been there 2 minutes, it felt like you'd been there much more time. How about that? Instead of going and being miserable and going, I need to sit down, I've had a tough day at work. Okay. How about this arrow over here? The one which says, I want to have a happy home, and the prerequisite is keep my spouse happy. That one might be true, but we'll see. How about this one here, which says, spend more time, make more money. Spend more time at work, make more money. Hello? No, that's not necessarily true. Maybe what you need to do is do great work and get promoted. Or maybe you need to brown nose your boss. There's no link between how much money you make and how much time you spend at work. And there's definitely no link between having a happy home and making more money. There are people all over the world with different levels of joy. They all have different amounts of money, from trillionaires right their way down. So there's no link there. So this entire thing is a false dichotomy. It's a false horns of a dilemma, only because if you accept the assumptions, then you get stuck in it. And if you don't, then you don't. So this is how you escape for yourself. You basically write down what you think your shared goal is. What is it I'm trying to achieve? What's my shared goal? What's it I'm trying to do here, which is the central point? Then the question goes, okay, well, what is my dilemma? What is the condition I think I have to have? Spend more time at work, spend less time at work, make more money, make less money, travel more, travel less. I don't know what it is, but you have to write this condition down clearly. Then spend some time thinking what your prerequisites are. What is it I'm assuming is the midpoint between these two different areas? What's the prerequisite I've decided is crucial? And then once you've done that, write down what the other prerequisite is, and then go and interrogate these arrows. Does this arrow make sense? Does that arrow make sense? Is it always true? And all you have to do is break one of those arrows, and the whole dilemma just evaporates, and you've escaped from being between a rock and a hard place, and you're free again. That is Hard Place Rock. If you subscribe to the newsletter, you'll see many other useful tools. If you don't subscribe, at least you got a quick guide you could use to get some more information, but you should never be stuck on the horns of a dilemma ever again. I've been Eddie Obeng. This was How. See you again.